Gee, it sure is boring around here. Oh, wow. This game, it just appeared in my hand. Oh, wow. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna review it. Before, there were trolls, pandas, the undead, and Chris Metzen's persona shooting laser beams at giant dragons. There were simply orcs and humans. And Warcraft. Look, the game was called Warcraft, Orcs and Humans, but I like to call it Dune 3, which is actually more appropriate than it sounds, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me give you the backstory. In December of 1992, a company by the name of Westwood Studios released Dune 2. While not technically the first RTS, I'm pretty sure Utopia for the Intellivision might have that title, it is given credit as being the one that started the formation of the modern RTS that we play now. The game was actually a pretty decent hit, garnering plenty of high reviews from different news outlets, but I mean, how could it not? They essentially put out a freshly innovated and refined genre ready to be capitalized and sold to the PC market, but for whatever reason, nobody did. Throughout the year of 1993 and early 1994, there had yet to be any sort of follow-up from Westwood Studios, or even from other game companies, but one company wanted to change that. Formerly known as Silicon and Synapse? Jesus, no wonder you changed your name. Better now known as the Colossus gaming giant Blizzard, then started development on Warcraft 1. Yeah, I don't think this is a game that a lot of people have played, but I mean, how can you? It's not even available on Blizzard's Battle.net store. They released 3 of their earliest games for the Super Nintendo back in 2014 for free, and yet there's still no sign of the original 2 Warcraft games or the first Diablo game available for digital download? This only helped fuel my curiosity of the game. That and being a big fan of the pretty dang huge MMO World of Warcraft. I wanted to know where it all started, how it all started. And now we can. It's time to pop this sucker in, but not without a change of scenery. Hi, you're in my room. Yeah. F:/install. Holy sh! I did it! I learned MS-DOS! Oh, thank God! Oh.
In the age of chaos, 2 factions battled for dominance. The kingdom of
oh man. Oh God. That is some stinky cheese. Oh, it sounds like a high schooler reading out his D&D campaign. Oh, jeez. I love this so much.
Welcome to the world of Warcraft.
If only they knew. Oh, okay. Start game. Oh, so this is the first Warcraft game. I like the simple pixel graphics. What's even better, though, is that voice acting.
These humans must be taught a hard lesson in the ways of humility.
That's pretty jammin', yo. The game plays a lot like any other modern RTS game. You click on units, gather resources, and raise buildings to strengthen up and make more units. The goal of the game is to... Wait. Is this the highest speed your units can run? Never mind, here we go. The goal of most missions is to kill everything on the map that isn't you, but they do try to add some variety to them. Sometimes you're fighting your own faction, sometimes you're not allowed to raise any buildings and have to work with whatever units the game gives you, and sometimes you're just exploring a spooky cave and have to kill or escort certain units like... Can I only control one unit at a time? That is fucking tedious. Whatever, oh yeah, units. You have the classics, grunts, ranged, advanced grunts, healers, magic users, and catapults, but even as far back as the first game, both factions actually play very differently from each other. For example, the Orc Spearmen do more damage at a cost of lower range, the Human Clerics can cast Heal, whereas the Orc's Necromancer can cast Unholy Armor, Wizards can summon a Water Elemental that has a short ranged attack, whereas the Orcs can summon a Daemon from Hell which uses melee attacks. Those are just a few examples, and while both factions still play basically the same way, they do play just different enough to where you have to adjust your playstyle a bit to accomplish the same goal. The added variety also gives you more. What am I doing wrong? Oh. Apparently a lot. Alright, so confession time. My first playthrough of this, I was so ready to tear this game apart. Like, no, seriously, it sucked all kinds of donkey nuts. I actually got so mad, I almost quit this review. Like, no, really, I'm not kidding. But there were a few things that I learned that made this game playable. Okay, so to start off, there's the screen moving too fast. That isn't a problem from the game, rather it's a problem with the DOSBox emulator I'm using. It actually runs my game so fast that it registers my mouse clicks longer than they actually are. You just need to slow down the speed using Control F11 and then, yeah, it doesn't move so fast. Also, you can select multiple units. You either hold down the control button and drag the mouse, which actually don't do that. I hit the Windows key on accident way too many times. Better yet, you can just hold shift and click them individually up to a maximum of 4? I mean, I guess that's better. Also, I really don't recommend playing this game on the fastest settings, at least not when you're in combat. And to explain why, I'm gonna have to tell you a few things that this game doesn't have and why it affects the way you play the game. First off, there's the Fog of War, or really it's more of a smudge of war, because once you explore an area of the map, you can see everything that's going on and whatever passes through there. Forever. The fog, it's just gone. I don't know if the same applies in PvP, because I can't get my roommate to play with me, because he can't stop playing Overwatch for like 45 minutes, young. Anyways, if it is, that's stupid, but even though that is an obvious flaw in the game's design, I actually sort of like it because it gives me more to do in the early stages of the game. While your base is getting built up, it's good to explore early and figure out which choke points are the best, and then see if you can find a small group of enemy units and kite them into your bigger party of units. Just make sure that little Timmy doesn't die on the battlefield, because unlike the spice mines of StarCraft 2, you're running on limited resources. Every mission, your gold mine starts off with limited amount of gold, which means limited amount of buildings and units you can make. Yeah, I know, there are unoccupied gold mines you can use, but they're like a million miles away, and the gatherers always die to roaming enemy units but the enemies, oh no, they get an unlimited amount of gold. No, like, actually, really, I had archers stand outside their main hall in their final mission. They never stopped making peons. They just kept on going. And by the way, nothing in this game is automatic. You can't queue up multiple units, so you have to manually build a new one once the first one is finished. You can't set a point where you want your units to go. You have to manually click the unit and tell it to go there. You can't cast spells automatically, so you have to manually click the individual unit and then select the location or person you want to use it on, including heal. See, this is why the game considers this.
Yes.
To be normal speed. You can't just go StarCraft Korean player 600 APM because most of the game is just a bunch of clicking units, and god damn it, which one of you guys needed healing again? With the limited resources and all the manual work you have to do, it creates this weird micro-heavy atmosphere to it. Almost reminding me of the way Warcraft 3 works, except a lot less forgiving. And fun. Every engagement matters. Every unit is important, and until you can use the summon spell, playing offense is always harder than playing defense, and that's kinda cool. I have to admit, this puts a lot more emphasis on the S part of RTS. You can't just create a million range units, go in and Zerg rush everything down. You find new ways to get the winning advantage, whether it's kiting their army with a single unit into a rain of fire death trap, or sending in 2 of your nukes with catapults for support and having your real army go in for cleanup afterwards. It's just too bad the UI, it's not good. And by the way, I forgot to mention, this game doesn't tell you jack shit. There's no tutorial, it doesn't tell you what spells do in the game, you have to look in the manual for that information. But even that won't tell you what new buildings and spells you can build in every new mission. You know, like a good RTS would. But
still, like I said, despite all that, I did manage to have a little bit of fun with this game. Like, 20% of it. Not the other 80% where you're just sitting around kiting enemies and making the map less dirty. Really, though, it's no wonder Blizzard doesn't want you to download this game on their website. I mean, would you ever want this? To be somebody's first Warcraft experience? Especially if I already made Warcraft 3. I mean, I get it, but I personally think that they should at least let this be a free download for people on their website. Don't get me wrong, this game hasn't aged well at all, but there is just no denying how important this game was to the company.
It's been said a few times from the company's president himself just how unstable they were before this game.
On paper, it always looked like we were just a couple months away from being completely in the black and having a windfall of excess cash to work with, and it never really happened.
And although we never missed the payroll, it's really a miracle that we never missed the payroll, because we were always a week away from being unable to make payroll.
Warcraft 1 changed that. In every sense of the word, this was their first big hit, and all because they saw an opportunity to capitalize on a fresh market. This game was a big enough success that allowed them to create a much more refined and better sequel with real Fog of War in just a year. And from that we got StarCraft, and with StarCraft we got Warcraft 3, and from Warcraft 3 we got the most successful and influential MMO to this date, World of Warcraft.
Do you see what I'm saying here? It wasn't just important to the company. It was important to games in general. Dune 2 might have been the one that started the fire, but in my opinion, Warcraft only helped add more fuel to that fire, eventually creating the 90s boom of RTS games. Without it, we wouldn't even have Overwatch, and I fucking love Overwatch. But let's not even talk about the later games, because I haven't even asked the most important question here. Should you play this?
That answer, it's a little complicated because it really depends on where you're coming from. If you want to play a good RTS game, then no. Play any of these games, they're a lot better. If you want to play it for the lore, then no. There's barely any in it, except maybe the manual. But even then, you're better off reading The Last Guardian, or hell, even the Warcraft movie is a better rendition of the first war, and I guarantee you it's at least better than...
Here beats the diseased and malevolent heart of Black Hand's plagued lands. The sister town of Rock
I meant better in terms of quality. This is still great. But if you want to play it because you're interested in seeing where the Warcraft franchise got its start, then yeah, knock yourself out. I'm pretty sure only the most hardcore fans will get anything out of this game.
But you know, despite all I said, I do think that there is one thing about this game that everybody can have fun with. Oh, man. Oh, right. This is the end of the review. Bye.